Hello everybody, my name is Steve and this is Steam King 2022. I am owner operator of the Bridgeport and West Virginia Railroad. It is a small backyard railroad that we don't have any track down, but I'm hoping to get some as soon as I get some land or where to put it. Have a couple pieces of rolling stock so far, 2 wooden freight cars that I've built, and 1 depressed center flat car. It's a riding car. Also have a 2-axle electric locomotive that it's very strong puller. But I have some ideas for the railroad as well, as far as rolling stock and motive power. So I've been wanting to just give a little insight on that. Alright, so it's kind of a little look into what I'm doing here with the railroad. Is on top of having the electric locomotive, I also want to, of course, build steam. Now, this is my first steam project. This is Robert Maynard's Clishay, pardon me. Just to give you a little bit of a look at it. It's a whimsical little thing. You have an upright boiler, you have 2 trucks, everything from the floor down, it's all chain driven. This locomotive, I'm currently working on the frame, have most of the holes cut out here, and have to drill clearance holes here and here, and also cut out this circle here. That's where the boiler is mounted down on. That, and there's 2 more holes here that ended up getting missed whenever the bed plate was drilled. This was all done on a knee mill. A friend of mine did it. So this needs 2, 4, pretty much 5 holes drilled. And then there's a couple of holes that need drilled here on the side sills. There's 3 holes right here on the side sill. This is from one end to the 3 holes here. And those are the 3 holes that mount the central shaft. There's a shaft in the very middle of the locomotive that you're kind of able to see from the drawing. Let me just make sure that light isn't messing it up too much. So you have this central shaft right here. It's mounted to the side sills of the frame. Well, you have the chain that comes off of the engine. That's the 2-cylinder engine. Chain comes down to here, and then there's 2 more sprockets on this center shaft, and the chains go from those other sprockets out to the trucks either end, and then there's chains from one axle to another on either end. Now, this locomotive has an upright boiler design that I've kind of never seen before. It's pretty much covered in circulator tubes on the outside of the barrel. So you have the overall size, but on the inside you have these like circulators here. I'll find a better picture of it. Right here. It's a whole mess of soldering, fitting, you know, checking for leaks. And every time you get a leak, you gotta clean it, pickle it, heat it up, solder it, let it cool down and everything. And if you don't use the right kind of solder, you're going to end up melting the solder for your other joints, and you're just going to be chasing your tail. So I'm thinking, instead of using that design, that's about the only change I'm going to have for this design of locomotive, is instead of using that water tube slash circulator type boiler, I'm just going to do a steel upright boiler. That'll be about the only thing. You have the engine mount, you have the water tank mount, of course the boiler, And then on the very back here is there's another small water tank as well as the coal bunker back here for feeding the fire. I've also thought about messing around with not only having this coal-fired, but if I want to take it to certain railroads where they have fire safety regulations, I want to also make a propane burner for this locomotive. And that would make it universal as far as going to other places. And the order of operations, I've got a list of things that I need to accomplish on just this setup here before I can move any further. After this, I'll be moving on to the trucks. But for right now, I am still on the frame. Also putting it out there, there's another project that I eventually want to do. Forgive me, I'm not used to working with cameras. But there's this pretty amazing book right here. It's steam logging in the 1880s. This is a William H. Harris book. That is the Falk locomotive, F-A-L-K, Falk. But there's a locomotive project, or an actual engine project in here that I've wanted to do for quite some time. I was always fascinated with the Lidgerwood Tower skidder that sits up at Whitaker Station along the Cass Scenic Railroad in West Virginia. Okay, now essentially what that engine does, it has one boiler and several steam donkey winch systems, and they use a spar tower that goes up about 95 feet or so, and these cables go out into the woods, and they would use that as an aerial cable car system. They would get bundles of logs, lift them up on this carriage that was attached to the cables, and then winch it up to the machine so that all the logs in a up to 3,000 feet away wagon wheel setup, they would pull the logs into a central location, load them up on a flat car, and then take them down to the mill. Here's an example of something similar to what I'm looking to do. You have the upright boiler and you have all these winch assemblies. They're all steam driven. But yeah, if you've never heard of the steam donkey, there's a look at it right there. It's a nifty little tool, nifty little machine. Thank you very much for checking it out. Stay tuned, and I'll try to record as much as possible.